Hi, welcome to Two Witnesses. Did the Bereans do their homework? Let's find out. Hey everyone, Jason here from Spiritualbabies.net. This is the first in probably going to be quite a long series of mini clips, all the information of which you'll be able to find in this fabulous book called Two Witnesses. And it's written by Jonathan Shadal there. I've spoken to Jonathan and he's given me permission very kindly to use this book. And the book is called Two Witnesses, Hebrew Texts Changed by the Greek New Testament. To give you an overview very quickly of what the book is about, it basically references any Tanakh, what might be called the Old Testament source that pops up in the New Testament, whether that be in the Gospels or the letters. It gives the context of the original meaning of the verse and the context of the new verse that it's used in by the writer, whichever writer it is of the New Testament. And it's a really great book. I'd really encourage you to go out and get it. I'm going to tackle the verses one at a time. I'm not going to go through the whole book. It's not the purpose of it. But the purpose of it is to highlight the book, so go and buy it, and to bring some of the points in the book, which are super valid, into the light. And if I be kind of thing I can do on my own, this is kind of an intro, if you like. This video is going to be introducing or reintroducing you to a concept which is often thrown up at the beginning of a Bible study within Messianic or Christian circles, and that's to do with a group of people called the Bereans. The Berean challenge. Bible readers are familiar with the people in Berea, who were called noble because they received the word in all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. Acts 17:11. The Bereans were lauded for doing the homework. They didn't just acknowledge everything they were told, they checked it out. But what was it they were verifying? Which standard were they checking it against? How did they perform their verification check? Throughout the New Testament, when we read the scriptures, it is a reference to the Hebrew scriptures that are known today as the Old Testament. Jesus and the Gospel writers made frequent references to the scriptures and then directly quoted passages from various books of the Old Testament. Nearly all of the quotations the New Testament writers used are from Greek Septuagint translations of the Hebrew scriptures. There is little doubt that the standard by which the Bereans judged the words of Paul were the Hebrew scriptures. And that's because Paul's writings predated the Gospels. Just what were the Bereans checking for accuracy? In Acts 17, we read that Paul travelled throughout Asia Minor preaching to the Jews on the Sabbath days, reasoning with them about the Hebrew scriptures, and we read this in Acts 17:1 and 2. Now when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica. There was a synagogue of the Jews, and Paul, as his manner was, went into them, and 3 Sabbath days reasoned with them out of the scriptures. Paul's message was specific. He alleged that the Hebrew scriptures predicted what would happen to Jesus. Acts 17:3. Opening and alleging that Christ must needs have suffered and risen again from the dead, and that this Jesus whom I preach to you is Christ. Paul made 4 specific claims. 1. A man, Jesus, had to suffer. 2. Jesus had to die. 3. Jesus had to rise again from the dead. 4. Jesus is the Christ, Messiah. Christ means anointed. Mashiach means anointed. Christ is the Greek, if you like, for the Hebrew term Messiah. Paul was not presenting these specific claims as his opinions, but as events that were predicted or prophesied in the Hebrew scriptures. Paul was explaining how Jesus fulfilled the prophecies found in the Hebrew scriptures. The Bereans, being conscientious students, set out to check Paul's claims by searching for the prophecies in the Hebrew scriptures that predicted the events that happened regarding Jesus. In particular, their task involved finding prophecies that predicted that a man had to suffer, die, rise from the dead, and that this man was the predicted Messiah. The Bereans were praised because their belief was based on the verification of facts. Who among us would not want to be similarly praised? In modern times, the exemplary behaviour of the people of Berea has inspired hundreds of Christian fellowships around the world that call themselves by the Berean name. The Berean Challenge. Find the prophecies in the Hebrew scriptures that predict that 1. A man had to suffer. 2. A man had to die. 3. A man had to be resurrected. And 4. A man would be the promised Messiah. Bereans were equipped with only a few scrolls of the Hebrew scriptures in their own diligence. Today we have electronically searchable versions of the Hebrew scriptures in many translations and endless commentary and writing easily available via libraries and the internet. Technology and time were on our side to give us tremendous advantage over the Bereans. If they, with their limited resources, could allegedly find prophecies that convinced them that Paul's claims were true, then surely we are more than up to that task. Where are the prophecies in the Hebrew scriptures that are clear enough to have convinced the Bereans of the truth of Paul's claims? When read in their original context, do such prophecies point centuries into the future towards a man named Jesus? Let us embark on the same journey that the Bereans were praised for taking. So that's the Bereans' claim, really beautifully laid out by Jonathan in his book. And that's kind of what the point of this series is going to be. I'm going to be pulling references that Jonathan's brought up, and there are hundreds of them. I'm not going to be doing hundreds of them. I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 individually in 5 and 10 minute portions, and we'll be displaying the text that is referenced, and we'll be displaying the area of the New Testament in which that text is used and weighing them up and seeing if they match up. These aren't necessarily messianic claims which are being made, but they are claims in which the New Testament writer has used the Hebrew text, the Tanakh, in a way that is supposed to lend support for what he has written. So context is going to be super important in these, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. And hopefully you're up for the challenge. The way this program is going to work is that I'll be releasing videos as they come about. It'll probably be maybe one a week. And at the end of each video, I will be putting up the text for the following week. So maybe you can get in there and do some homework yourself. It'd be kind of cool if you left comments under the videos concerning the content of the videos and what you think. So let me ask you this. We only hear that the Bereans did a good job, but we don't actually see any evidence of the job they did. Why do we accept the claim that the Bereans did this study just on face value? Where is the evidence that the Bereans did the homework that they were supposed to do? And with that, we'll say adios, and I'll see you in the first show.